Ilissa Nolan, director of the Texas Hemp Coalition. Welcome to Feminized podcast. It's just so great to have you here, girl. We were just talking, for everybody who's live right now, we were just talking about, how the Feminized podcast came to be and why I wanted her on. And I'm just like, let's go live. So welcome.
Sounds good. I'm ready for it. Well, thank you for having me again. I think everything that y'all are doing is incredible. And even though some people might think that, hemp is a movement and, cannabis is a movement, it's all one of the same things. We're just paving a little bit more of a road, I guess, so that it can come to that everything that y'all have been fighting for. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be a part of the industry and to help pave the way so that something better can come down the road that basically everybody wants anyways. So
thank you. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It needed to be said right out front. It's not an either or situation. We are all fighting and working for the cannabis plant, from whatever direction you're coming at, we need to be doing it together. And, just we're human and oftentimes people's egos can get in the way and things can get lost in translation. But, that's why I freaking love talking to you. Every time we're like in the same room, it's like, boom, like what's going on with industrial hemp? How are the farmers doing? What's going down? So let's just jump in there, Ilissa. You are the director of the Texas Hemp Coalition, the THC, which I love.
Thank you. That was when, and I'll tell the story on how it began, but when I really thought about the name, I didn't even think about the acronym. It was later. And I was like, oh, holy crap. I just created an acronym called THC. And for a little bit, we were TX, lowercase x, HC, so that, the legislators didn't freak out and think that we were just there trying to push cannabis legalization. So, we have to, walk on eggshells a little bit. But it's just funny how it came to be so that, it's the hemp industry now, but sometime down the road, it's going to be hemp and cannabis, and we're going to be able to make that transition super easy.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what, for those people who out there who don't know, who you are and how you play a role in the cannabis industry in Texas, you are a lobbyist.
Mm-hmm.
You are one of those folks who talks to lawmakers and teaches the policymakers about, educates them about, the plant and the plant's role in our agricultural system and our agricultural economy in Texas. Is that fair to say?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I have been in and around this sector of the industry since 2015. I was working as a staffer in the House of Representatives for a state rep. And my boss was the vice chair of the Ag and Livestock Committee. And it was the first session that they introduced the pilot program for industrial hemp. Mm-hmm. And I remember they came to our office every day. My boss was not keen. He was not a fan. But what was crazy about it, and I can remember I was maybe 24, 25, and I was just like, this is the same session that y'all passed compassionate use, and you're for compassionate use because it's for children with epilepsy, but you're not for industrial hemp, which is an agriculture commodity. And I just couldn't place it together on how that made sense because it just didn't connect for me. I'm like, basically the same thing. Like, this can be used for a lot of other things. There's a medical component to cannabis and compassionate use. So, in the legislature, third time's a charm. And so, after that session, I went and worked for Commissioner Sid Miller. I traveled with him throughout the nation, going to different conferences. And that's when you saw states like Kentucky, Oregon, California, Colorado, who really were paving the way for the rest of the hemp industry through this pilot program. So he really got to talk to, Commissioner Quarles in Kentucky, who's a great friend of mine. And he was like, y'all got to have this. And so he really sparked my interest more in the hemp industry. I'm going to go ahead and give him that. If he listens to this, he'll probably giggle a little bit, but
we'll send it to him.
Yeah, please do. He pushed it so much that it was this really cool thing. And he told me all about what they were doing in Kentucky that it always was in the back of my mind that maybe this could be something that I could work on in the future. Not during my time at the Department of Agriculture. There really wasn't an appetite, but that session, 2019, I got hired to lobby for water issues and some agriculture issues. And some people heard, they're like, oh, she's out there lobbying. She knows about this, industry. She knows about the policy. Let's get her hired to help with this. And, there was a team of us that did it, but I was just lucky enough to, confidently say that I was one of the only ones that was around from the beginning. So I truly knew the
Yes.
political landscape. I knew who was on our side. I knew what we needed to do and
Yes.
who we needed to talk to.
And, that's one thing I think that the just cannabis policy efforts at large have, just been lacking. And I'm saying this from an outsider's perspective looking in. I do media, I help when I can, I go to meetings when I can. I should probably pay my dues for Texas Normal, okay? Just to be straight up. But having somebody, on the inside who has been working with the people who are ushering in new policy and who are just wrapping their minds around new policy, around this new plant, this new agricultural commodity that's gotten such a bad rap.
Yeah.
I mean, talk to me about that. Like, how much reefer madness did you have to overcome to just like help these guys see?
A lot. When I think of where everyone's minds were in 2015 to 2019, it is crazy how much a lot of those state representatives and senators jumped their point of view. I mean, they just completely changed their point of view. I think what was different is when we when we all got hired, I would say, because we're a hired gun lobbyist, we can be hired for certain things, but the lobbyists that were hired were people that were respected in the Capitol, that had been staffers who had worked for conservative members and had some type
Mhm.
of track record. And that
Mhm.
really, really does help. And the individuals that were in that small group were people that these legislators respected. And so when
Mhm.
somebody like myself walks into a room and I'm talking about this industry, they're automatically going to associate me with agriculture because I'm an agriculture girl. I grew up on a farm and ranch. My degrees are in ag. I'm an FFA girl. I worked for the Commissioner of Agriculture. And even when I worked
Yes.
for Sid Miller, people knew I was the ag girl. So they were able to put two and two together and say, well, she's in here talking about an ag commodity and how our farmers can diversify their crops and they can use it. And I always say in agriculture, any commodity has byproducts. And I say this all the time, but I think that it's something that we still haven't gotten across to people is there are a ton of different byproducts from hemp and cannabis as well. You can use it for the
Mhm.
industrial side. You can use it for medical side. You can use it to consume. You can use it as topicals, clothing, whatever else. It's just like any other ag commodity out there. So that's what we tried to get these legislators to understand is that, you guys voted in the compassionate use program. That is cannabis. This is industrial hemp that will be grown for, other types of use and will become an ag commodity that can save the farmers because at the time cotton wasn't doing too well. China was competing with us. There was that whole cottonseed oil issue that I remember I had to deal with. So, and also not to think of the livestock industry, we weren't able at that point to really trade with China as well. And we were working
Mhm.
with NAFTA trade agreements. So there was just a lot
Mhm.
of different things that I think got them thinking, oh, well, maybe this could work. And also a lot of their constituents were calling saying, we want to grow this. Your conservative farmers in the panhandle were calling their very conservative senators and reps saying, no, we're into this. So it was just a wild ride to see that, us having to explain this is not marijuana. This is the difference between them. You cannot get high off of it. There were a
Mhm.
lot of things that we weren't educated in. We said, "Oh, it's drought resistant. It doesn't take that much water." That was that was not
Yeah.
true. So we learned a lot. But I mean, we none of us had really ever seen a plant. None of us had had time to really go to any farms because it came on us so fast. So
Yeah.
it's cool to see how everybody's kind of changed from then to now, and I think how it will be in sessions to come.
Yes. Oh God, I love it. I love that you're a part of the ride. You're in the driver's seat in so many ways, and that you are in it for the long haul because that farming is about the long haul. So many of the terms that we use today to reference work and hard work come from the agrarian society and the way of living. And when you know.
Yeah.
Right? It's easy to romanticize. It's easy to glamorize. It's easy to think of ourselves, as farmers. And this is just, again, coming from the person who's trying to help tell the story. But it's another thing when you actually come from those genes, that DNA,
Yeah, it's just
I'm
crazy.
going to take a bong rip to that.
Go ahead,
That's
girl.
one thing. Thank you, love. That's one thing that we do on Feminized is there's just, we use cannabis in any way we want to,
Get it,
any
girl.
way we need to.
I don't
As long
prefer.
as it's Texas.
Yeah, exactly. I am not a smoker, so I'm a gummy person. Like, I take my gummies every
Hey,
night. I love them. I mean, I have some that I prefer over than others. Wink, wink. But
exactly.
you know, got to support those close to you. But yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
I appreciate it, and I think that all aspects of it are important. And I'm lucky, and I get chills, and I get like excited about it that I came from this industry and background of agriculture. And it's just,
Yes.
there aren't many people that come from that world who get degrees in that world. And I knew there was just something that I knew where I was like, I cannot represent anything other than ag. Water, yeah, that makes sense. There's a close correlation. I mean, I grew up in
Right.
East Texas. We have the majority of the water in the state of Texas, but
Mhm.
I didn't grow up in a farming community. I grew up, there were tree farms, hay fields, and livestock. So, everybody's got something different that they're exposed to. So I truly had a learning curve to learn
Mhm.
about a row crop system. What does it mean? I had no idea what I was going into when I met y'all at the Tejas plant party. I'd
Yes.
seen the plant in person a couple of weeks prior, but I had never seen it go into the ground or the process of row cropping other than my parents' garden in our backyard.
Wow, God, that is such a beautiful part of the story, Ilissa. And I'm so like honored and thrilled to have been there and have had cameras on that moment when you were introduced to a true small Texas, cropping operation, and it just so happened to be hemp.
Yeah.
It was God dang. I think it's all divine. I think as this plant really does just guide us all, and it teaches us so much. But we come together in ways that are like, dude, can you believe it? Here we are in 22, or 2022. I keep doing that. Um,
I'm
here
getting
we are. Just we none of us, knew where we would be
right.
at this moment. The world is such a crazy place, with COVID and everything else. But it's exciting to know that we documented this story, and the story is such an amazing one, and you're such a
Yeah.
good part of it, Ilissa, that
Oh, thank
I'm just
you.
excited to see what 22 has in store, because I'm telling you, man, like it is history that we got to shoot, that you opened up. And, for anybody listening or who doesn't understand, Patrick and I produced and are producing a series called Big Texas Hemp. And Aaron Owens of Tejas Hemp is,
Oh, I love that you were
God,
in this one. I didn't even know
oh
it.
yes. Oh yes. I
Oh,
love it.
that's great.
It's one of my favorite pieces. It's actually on a hanger. Like it's made it to the hanger
I
status
love it.
with the other vintage teas that I love. But yeah, and that's where I met Ilissa, because Ilissa at Texas Hemp Coalition, and at the time I think they were crushing on each other.
Yeah, we were already dating, but we just didn't tell anybody. We were like,
Right.
"Oh, this is so weird. Like, what if this doesn't, like we don't know where this is heading," and it was so new, but it'll be cool to look back on that it shows this journey. And I think we tried to
Yes.
do a good job of like separating it to where it was like, this is your deal, this is my thing. But he's
Mhm.
one of my board members, and
Yes.
we've worked together to build. I mean, he Aaron, alongside a lot of other individuals on the Texas Hemp Coalition, have been such an integral part of the process legislatively. I mean,
Mhm.
you think of people like Jeremy Sherman and Ben Meggs of Bayou City Hemp Company, who were
Yeah.
with me every step of the way during the legislative session to fight the Delta 8 battle. I mean, we can get into that. Aaron, even though he's like more about power to the plant, I want the full plant usage. I don't want anything that's going to be, chemically produced. That's why he has his Delta 9 gummies now. He was like, well, if this is for the greater of the industry, I'm going to be there to help for it, because, we don't need to set a precedence. And I was like, thank you. And I mean, that's why we have the coalition, because it takes everyone in the industry to come in and show, hey, I'm a West Texas kid. I grew up, raising livestock, but now I'm growing this plant, but I'm actually a cannabis person. Or, the
Right.
Bayou guys, I'm from the oil and gas industry. So it shows these legislators, oh, these people are just like us. They just have, maybe a different way of life or a different way of thinking.
Yes, yes. Oh gosh. I mean, it's such a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's one thing to talk about, it's another just to like live it and to put it together and to, be the liaison. I
Yeah.
think between so many groups, Alyssa, that is just not easy. And, I think it's something that we instantly saw, as we were and are so interested and passionate about the Texas cannabis industry and hemp specifically, particularly industrial hemp.
Yeah.
It's like we've seen you work from, a different perspective. We're connected with a bunch of farmers, we're connected with a bunch of organizations, and other hemp organizations, the Texas Growers Association, we're connected with them too. We're friends with everyone.
Right.
But it's fun to watch you work from behind the scenes because you're everywhere. And I just want to give you props. And I really want to just tell you that I admire that, and feels good to know that there's somebody working on behalf of Texas farmers and Texas hemp farmers.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, it is hard. It takes a lot of time to be all those places. I've been very lucky and honored to be asked to be on, a lot of panels that are on all the expos that we have, the Texas Hemp
Mhm.
Convention, Lucky Leaves, ATX Hemp and Wellness event. So it's just more of a platform to let people in the industry hear it from the horse's mouth, somebody that
Yes.
does have those connections or does know what's going on. I'll get text and calls probably every other day from people saying, well, I heard that this is happening. Is this true? And I want to say,
Mhm.
if I haven't heard about it, probably not. But I also don't know everything.
Right.
So I also do my due diligence and I ask those people. It's a text usually, it's a phone call away, and they're like, no, that's not true. And so it's just, it's hard to explain to those individuals out there that don't necessarily know the legislative process, how slow that it takes things to work,
Right.
who the right people are to speak with. It's hard to explain that. So when we do have these opportunities and people hear it from my mouth, they're like, oh, okay, I get it. And so I feel like we're shaping the industry a little bit so that they don't have their blinders on, that they're like going into this eyes wide open saying like, look, I want cannabis to become legal, but that might not happen in the next session or the next session after that it's going to take some time, but it will happen
Yes.
when it's supposed to happen. And it'll be hopefully not an over regulated program like we would probably have if we like rushed into things. So it's
Wow. Hang on. Just, say it a little louder for those in the back. You
Guys,
know,
that will come when it's supposed to come. We don't want it to be over-regulated. So sit back, continue to do what you're doing, perfect it, and then when it's
right.
time, we will take over the nation and probably the world because Texas is massive.
Yes. Oh God, yes. It's going to be so beautiful. What I am just so most thrilled about, and we were talking with our friend who is a Liberty Market grower this morning on the Grow House podcast. We were talking with him about it, and my dream is for Texas. I mean, Texas is such a self reliant place. I mean, we're our own country, right? I can't
Yeah,
wait to see how we build our own Texas economy, Texas cannabis economy. We
yeah,
don't need anything from anyone else. We can have our own, we can build our own, we can grow our own. And it just so happens that we are kind of like a big chunk of the nation, and we can just, if we ever have interstate commerce, there you have it. We love you, Oklahoma. You guys are so cute. Oh my God. I'm so happy for what they did. And they're a
yeah,
great, beautiful model, but it'll never work for Texas, I'm sure, on so many reasons. I won't pretend to be a lawmaker but I do have conversations with them about the obvious stuff. And
right.
I just like, I'm ready to set it free. I'm ready to support hemp more. Not that cannabis needs to be a savior or cannabis taxes. Again, no overregulation,
Right.
but it opens people's minds. It'll infuse the economy with money, and that will mean more money for hemp and more industrial hemp machines.
Yeah.
I'm going to
And
make, yeah.
well, and also it'll help create a little bit more of a separation between the two entities because then I think that it'll be less regulation on hemp so that we can easily work that industrial hemp market into the state of Texas. Because right
Yes.
now we're having to worry about, THC levels, and we shouldn't have to worry about that with industrial hemp that are going into building materials. Like that's
Mm-mm.
absolutely ridiculous. And
Right.
we need a clear remediation program where, if somebody's crop tests hot, that we can go in there on spot mobily and remediate and take the THC out. But there's so many hoops we have to jump through because it's a scheduled drug. So, they're open, like Dishes is open. I've had conversations with
Yes.
them, but
Yes.
it's a complex, process. You would have to literally
Yes.
change, you would have to decriminalize it and change it from a scheduled drug. So there's just
Yes.
I think people don't realize there are a lot of different steps to take. It's not that they're not open to it. It's just a process through government. It just takes a while. So
Right.
federally, if, President Biden wants to help make it legal, I think cannabis legal, that would be wonderful. I think Texas would follow in suit with some type
Mhm.
of program, or
Mhm.
whoever comes after him, that'd be
Mhm.
great as well. Probably,
Mhm.
maybe a little better if it was a conservative. That's just me speaking honestly, because Texas
Mhm.
is so dang conservative.
Mhm.
They would maybe be like, oh, okay, a conservative president passed this, so
Yeah.
we'll do it too.
Yeah, my hope, Alyssa, is that we can be self-contained, that
Yeah,
we can actually put our trust again in the governor, whoever wins this next election. I
right,
don't want it to be that they stole the cannabis votes. You know what I mean? It should not be an either or. That's a
right.
sucker's choice. Cannabis is a human issue.
Yeah.
Cannabis is a Texas issue. If you
And it's
can't
bipartisan as well.
but yeah, exactly, exactly. If you can't wrap your head around that, then I don't think I want you governing. I don't
Yeah.
want you up there. So that's how we're trying to figure it out. You probably saw that Patrick and I got to very briefly meet with Governor Abbott on Sunday in
Mhm.
Lockhart. And it was, a beautiful thing because a lot of what Governor Abbott is doing and running on is something are things that I believe in as a Texan. I don't want anyone, threatening any Texans' guns. But I also believe that if we can have such free reign with guns, why don't you trust us with the plant? Why can't we start to really open that conversation up? That's just one angle. I believe in Governor Abbott wants to, build a wall. I believe that we need to control who's coming across Texas
Yeah.
borders. I love my country and I don't want human trafficking. I don't support that. And guess what? When we have an open border, who do you think loves that the most? Is human
Exactly.
traffickers. The people who want to come into this country should have a respectful, beautiful way to do so.
Yeah.
And I believe that hemp can help with that wall. I'm just dreaming of all the things and I'm sending those vibes to Governor Abbott. And when he said that on Monday, he was like, oh, it's a Class C misdemeanor, marijuana. When he said that, I was like,
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, he was the governor that passed the compassionate use program.
he was. He was.
He,
And what I said is I wish you would consider expanding the compassionate use program to
yeah.
include paid patients and so many more patients. And then I was like, I'll send you an email. And another thing, Texans are paying too much money to enforce these low-level laws. We need
Right.
to decriminalize. We could do this. And I said, Greg, we could do this. And
Well,
he's like,
and another thing, it's like he's not against a lot of this. I can remember,
no.
I don't think it was last session, but the session before, they run together. But
Yeah.
he was on the floor whenever Representative Chairman Moody had a piece of legislation that was about I think it was moving it to the Class C misdemeanor. He was on the
It,
floor for that.
that was last session.
Was
Not
that
last
last?
session, but the session before. The
Okay,
session
that's what I
before.
thought.
Because Moody's bill didn't even get heard this
Well,
session. Because Dan
yeah.
Patrick.
Oh, well, yeah, our favorite person. But
What are we gonna do?
girl, I wish we could figure that out as a state. And what's crazy is the majority of the people that you talk to would like for someone else to be in office. But Texas is so conservative, and his voter base thinks that everything that he says is completely true. And it's just beyond me. And until he is
How do
out
we
of
get to them?
office, yeah, I don't know if our industry is ever going to be able to move forward because he holds, I don't want to say like a chokehold, but he controls a lot of what those senators do. I mean, I think there's been a lot of times where they've come back and said, well, there's nothing we can do about it. This is what the lieutenant governor wants, and this is the only way you're going to get it passed is, blah, blah, blah. So like this past session
Right.
when the whole Delta 8 stuff happened, I
Right.
don't want to say we like outsmarted them or anything like that, but we had our ducks in a row ready to do what we needed to do. And they tried to hold a chokehold on us to say, well, you're not going to pass this, and we're not going to pass any of your amendments and things that you need if you don't pass this piece of legislation that has the Delta 8 in there. And I
Right.
think,
Right.
you saw an industry and you saw a chamber, the House of Representatives, stand
Mhm.
up and say, no, we're not going to be beat up any longer. We're not going to do this. If an industry can't agree on something in a piece of legislation, then that tells us that we probably should not move forward, which
Mhm.
kudos to Chairman Tracy King, who is our hemp hero. If it was not for him, people like Joe Moody, that really helped us fight that battle. It was insanity. That
Mhm.
was probably the wildest session of my career. It was
Oh, and I bless you for being there and doing that. And for some reason, the universe took us to Oklahoma that during that time, which was really crazy. But it is what it is, and there's a reason for everything. A reason we weren't there. But you did such an amazing job as kind of the ringleader of that circus.
yeah,
I mean,
it was a
truly.
circus, let me tell you. It was like, how do I know as a lobbyist what's good strategically to do. I'm not used to having to wrangle an industry to keep everyone in the know. So it's like,
Uh,
I'm going to have to figure out, how do I let people know enough, but continue to do what I need to do behind the scenes so that we can be
right.
effective. And
Right.
I think the industry is starting to learn that as well. And I think a lot of individuals that testify or there at the Capitol, I think they saw what we did and they're like, okay, you just tell me, and I'm not going to take it like in the wrong way. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be aggressive towards you. I'm just telling you, like, please don't say anything. You're going to mess this up.
Totally, totally. And you when you're moving fast and there's so much on the line and so much at risk, shit's gonna get broken, feelings are gonna get hurt, toes are gonna get stepped on. It sucks, but you want things to go in the way you want them to go. And we all want the same thing. But our paths, it's like Candyland, right? It's like our paths are so just twisted and intertwined and stuff. And we have to work together. If we can't be friends with each other, there's no way we are going to, win over the true opponents because, I know there are true opponents. And, yeah, maybe I'm the stoner conspiracy theorist, but I do believe, that big pharma is controlling a lot of the messaging. And, our prison system, is filled with low level offenders, like, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of money going to supporting the really bad policies of prohibition that
Yeah.
we need to get rid of. We are Texas. We can do better.
Yep.
We can fucking do better, man. And nobody's
Well,
going to take our guns.
no, that's not going to happen. There are way too many
Come
people
and
in this
take
game
it.
on both sides of the road that would not want that to happen. So that's what's wonderful
No.
about Texas. Like, I came from Washington D.C. I started out in my political career there,
Oh
and
my God. That's
yes,
right. That's
so
right. That's
yes.
why you're so good. Like,
Well,
quick.
I try to be, but I'm gonna attest that to my parents. I was one of those like FFA kids. I did debate and public speaking my entire life, so they trained me to be quick. And
Nice.
it's just like I know what to say. I'm strategically thinking about it. But when I was in DC, I got reprimanded for hanging out with the minority staff of a committee. And it was like, what? I'm just saying hi to like my fellow intern over there. Like, we're hanging out, we're going to lunch, and I got reprimanded for it. I'm like, oh, this is weird.
Oh.
Everything was very divided. Only conservative staffers hang out with conservative staffers, vice versa.
Not
When
this Texas girl.
No, 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 no. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I can go on both sides of the aisle. I'm pretty like liberal minded in some ways, but also a conservative, whatever. So when I moved down to Texas and got my job in Austin, I was the reading clerk. So I like read all the bills, and I was working for the speaker and really all the members. So I got to hang out with all the staffers, and it blew my mind that literally everybody hung out together. Everyone had a good time and like partied together, went to the networking happy hours together. representatives, senators, staffers, everyone. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is a breath of fresh air. That's why we're able to get some things done here in Texas.
Yes,
We can work across the aisles, and you have to do that to be able to get things done.
you
And
do.
yeah, and if you don't have those connections to both offices, you can't just go in and expect to get something passed and have one office that you have a relationship with. You have to have a
No.
relationship with a lot of different ones that are going to be working on your issues. So
Yeah.
it's just wild. And I feel like now more than ever, even though with the redistricting there's more conservative seats, I think you're gonna see a lot more of, hopefully, of them having to work together,
Hmm.
especially the minority. They're gonna have to get anything passed, and the majority is going to have to, so that they don't filibuster, or they don't say, oh, we're not going to pass your bill, we're not going to let it be heard. So I think
Right.
there's going to be a lot of compromises made. So I'm excited to see what's coming. But then also, there's a younger generation that's running for office. I'm seeing people my age, friends my age, that are running for office, people that I worked with in the Capitol. And I know that their personal ideals of what should be in policy are more aligned with people like us. So I'm excited to
Mm.
see that new generation come in and kind of like change what the legislature looks like.
Oh my God, I love hearing that. I
Yeah,
love, love, love hearing that. And you have to promise to keep me posted
I will.
on all of those people that you love and that you support. And those people, especially the women, the ladies that that I should be talking to.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's all about just getting the information out there and the right information out there and being able to support those candidates who support our life of liberty in Texas and our freedom to grow a plant and to sell a plant and um, you know, use it as we see fit because we're Texans and we're fucking the best.
I agree.
Okay, before we go, and I could seriously just talk to you all day, Alyssa.
Yeah.
Okay, I ask my guests the same three questions.
Okay.
Okay. The first question is, all right, so I know you don't smoke, but
Mhm.
have you ever done a gummy before like a party or maybe before a float on a river? Or have
You
you
know,
ever
no, I have not. And I
okay.
say that because, and I've been pretty open and honest with the industry about it, I'm very
Mm,
sensitive
mhm.
to
THC?
THC, like
Yeah.
very, very, very sensitive to it. I mean,
Uh,
like, my family's very conservative. I grew up in a conservative household, and so I remember my dad asked me, he was like, "Have you ever smoked weed?" And I was like, "A handful of times," and it did not go well for me. Like, I was paranoid. I didn't like
yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
I've had
Okay.
some good experiences, but I prefer, like, I love a CBD gummy. I love,
Okay.
like, CBN. I love CBD. I love
CBG?
CBG. I mean, that, ooh,
Yes.
how
That's the
sensitive
gold.
I am to CBG will tell you how sensitive I am to THC, because I cannot
Oh.
handle it. So I've got a different body system, and I'm just,
Yeah. It's hey, that's your cannabinoid,
yeah.
profile. Okay,
Mhm.
so that's great just considering that your man, grows such CBD and CBG rich, beautiful hemp. So that really
Yes.
is
I mean, I've
very
smoked some hemp.
appropriate.
I've smoked
Okay.
it.
All
It's,
right.
I have, of course. He's like,
Okay.
he didn't pressure it on me or anything, but I
Yeah.
have, and I know when he's smoking it because I
Uh,
know the smell. It's
okay.
like totally different than any of, I don't know, it's weird. It's like a
Right.
different smell than anything else.
Okay, so the question is this: your dream smoke circle, three people. So it's you and three other people, dead or alive. And the ideal for smoke circle is conversation and just
Okay.
basically vibing out, having the best time. Like
Oh
best
my
conversation.
conversation. Oh my goodness, that is a difficult one. I'm trying to think, like, okay, I actually know what I'm gonna say. So I am a huge Bravo fan. Like, I love Bravo. Like, I'm a Bravoholic. I'm an OG Bravo fan. I've been watching it since I was in college when it literally first came out. So Andy Cohen would be one of them.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
I love Andy
Perfect.
Cohen.
Okay.
And then I would have to do some of my favorite people from the Bravos, network. It would probably be Sonia Morgan from Real Housewives of New York. She is absolutely out of control. And a lot of people don't really like her, but I connect. Is She's new on Beverly Hills, Sutton Strack. She's from Atlanta,
Oh, no.
She's
Okay.
just a Southern lady, and everything she says I connect to because I grew up in a really Southern town, but she's living
Yes.
in LA with all these really bougie people, and she's just like, I wasn't raised that way. And I feel like that's me. Like I'm so different than a lot of people in the hemp industry, and she's so different, so I connect to that. So, and honestly, any other Real Housewife, I would love it.
Okay.
Maybe like Chris Harrison from Bachelor Nation. I love The Bachelor. You know,
Ah,
I'm very basic, and I don't even want to
no,
say that
you're
that's a
not.
bad thing. I'm here for it, and I own it.
Oh, babe, no, I love it, and I love your smoke circle, and one of the rules in my mind is that I get to be it's like sliding in on the smoke
Well,
circle,
yeah,
so I will be there, thank you for that.
of
Okay,
course.
second question is, what other woman is killing it in the game? Is as the game as you see it, the hemp game,
Sure.
lobbying, you know?
Yeah, I really, really look up to and I use their advice a lot is Lisa Pittman. She is an
Mm,
attorney. She is so wonderful, so excellent, so sweet and nice and willing to work with me. There's a lot of people within this industry that get very territorial or they don't really want to work with you for certain reasons. Like I
mhm,
know that I might be a different type of person when it comes to this industry, but Lisa, she's just so welcoming. And there were some people that tried to say that she was saying bad things about me, which was not even true. And it was just like, why do people try to put women against each other? And we got to sit down and meet each
mm,
other and talk for the first time, and we were like, oh my gosh, we're on the same page. We think the same way. So she really is my person that I go to. Anything legislatively, policy wise, I take her advice. I don't even ask her twice. I just ask her once. I believe it. I see it. So I think that Lisa is just a breath of fresh air. And I think that she's killing it representing all of her clients. And she does it with integrity and she does it with a good heart. And she truly
mm,
believes in everything. So if anybody's
mm,
looking for an attorney out there, Lisa Pittman with Zuber Lawler. She is wonderful. And then, some other people that I looked up to that are, I would say involved with me in the Texas Hemp Coalition, people
mhm.
like Haley Hunt with House of Jane. She is a nurse. She just got her certification for cannabis use medically. I don't know the actual term, but I feel like she's looking at something different. She's focusing on women, which you should interview her.
Yes, yes.
She has a women focused cannabis boutique.
Mhm,
And
yes.
right there in Dripping Springs where
House of
everybody,
Jane.
yes, House of Jane. And then other people like that are on my board as well. So there's just a lot of ladies that I look up to. There needs to be more of us. And
Yes,
I hope that more women will start popping up, but
yes. Well, we're
it's
gonna do it. Right. Well, you know what? Hey, that's the purpose of this podcast is so that more women just get closer to the plant in some way, shape, or form,
yeah,
and help to progress the agenda of the plant because we're the caregivers, we're the birth givers, we're the ones who I'm dosing Patrick all the time with like CBD, CBG. Hey, rub this on this, da da da.
yeah.
I mean, that's just who we are, right? As women. So that's really the purpose of this podcast. Okay, third question, final question, and then I want you to tell everybody how they can find you and find
Sure.
Texas Hemp Coalition. Third question, though, is what would you tell 13-year-old Ilissa Nolan about thriving in today's society?
I would probably tell her to not really care what anybody thinks about her. I was always a go getter. I always have been. I know nothing different than that. My family are a bunch of serial entrepreneurs. Um, I've had people say, why don't you just focus on one thing? Why can't you just, sit there and do this one thing or maybe try not to be the center of attention? I don't try to be the center of attention. I am just one of those people that I realize what my strengths are and what my
Yeah.
weaknesses are. And my strengths just happen to be like, I'm not scared to get on a stage and talk in front of people. I'm not scared to try to be the leader to push something forward. I'm not scared to stand up for myself or what I believe in, even though it might be different from someone else. So,
Hmm.
when I
Hmm.
was 13, I think back, I was in cheerleading. I mean, that is drama within itself. And I probably wouldn't let that get
No.
more because there are so many situations that I have been in that state capitol that would blow people's minds. I mean, this last session, I was asked by a certain senator not to return to their office. I was basically asked, what maybe like kicked out, just not to be in there because of what other lobbyists were saying that apparently I had said about this industry. And it just was
Mm,
beyond me thinking, well, this isn't about me. This is about the industry and the farmers and everyone else. And so I let it get
yeah.
to me a little bit and I took it personally. But
Oh, sister, I want you
yeah.
to know honestly that we are legitimately friends. Have known each other for a couple years now, and
Mhm.
um, navigated around some, just navigated life a little bit together in parallel. And you can always call me. You can always call me if you just need a little pick me up, honestly, because
I
it's hard what you do. You go into battle every day,
It it
truly.
it is hard, and I think that, everybody kind of got to see it this past session. It was like, Aaron, you ask him and he'll always say like, "I didn't know anything about this. I didn't realize how important it was, blah blah blah." And then I walked and I saw it and I'm like, "Holy shit, this is crazy. I cannot believe that you just did what you did." And I'm like, "Well, every one of you helped me do that." So it's a battle and it's a grind. Everybody has to go through it. I mean, you guys were there testifying until 3, 4 a.m. on
Hmm.
cannabis issues. And, I'm sure those reps didn't
Yeah.
even want to listen half the time. So it's just things.
No, but they did though. They
Yeah.
did, and it's about doing it the right way. And we really learn a lot from
Yeah.
you, and we learn a lot from Heather and Jax and people who have been doing the work, putting it in, because our lawmakers won't know and they won't care unless we bring them these issues. Texas is a republic. A lot of people don't get that fact that we're not like other states and we don't change laws fast. And so I'm grateful for you and
Thank you.
women like you who've just been like, no, this is how it's done, and we're going to be here for a minute, and we're
Yep.
going to be patient.
Yep. We have to be patient. And I think that it's what's different is like I come into the Capitol as a different type of lobbyist. I know the industry. I have actually planted the dang plant and harvested it and watched a growing season and have watched the troubles that these farmers have to go through to get that product sold. I'm there in the middle of the trenches. I have a different, because my significant other is a farmer and is really involved in the industry, I'm around it all the time. But I think that
Mm,
that's such a blessing because when I go into the Capitol, I know what I'm talking about and I've got experiences and I can bring the right people into the room. A lot of
that's
lobbyists
right.
don't that way. So I think it's
Thank
unique.
you. Thank you. And when it becomes about ego, that's when they don't have the experience that you have. They
Yeah.
are not on your level. I know from firsthand, and Patrick does too. And luckily we have it on film. We know your passion for this industry and for the hemp farmer and for farming issues and for just the knowledge. We've seen that, and it just gives you a different vibe. And I really feel like, we're just excited to watch and be a part of this journey and help in any way that we can. And I don't want to take any more of your time. I know you're a
Oh,
busy
you're
woman.
good.
So how can people find you?
So y'all can find us, Texas Hemp Coalition, on social media. So we're on Facebook, Twitter. I think we're
Mhm.
at Texas Hemp Coalition. And then our
Okay.
website is www.texashempcoalition.org. We
Ooh,
do have,
shit.
yeah, we're .org. So we're super official. Um, our acronym is THC, obviously. We did that on purpose. So we have a new branding that we just came out with, which is super exciting. We're going to have a new website that will be launching hopefully in the next month with new member incentives of what you actually get when you join to be a member of the Texas Hemp Coalition. For example, if you join to be a member, then you get a percentage off from this company over here, maybe a percentage off of your potency testings, stuff like that. So we're trying to make this into an actual commodity group that people can join that's going to be bigger than itself.
Okay.
So,
And so what do people get? So aside from, being a member, and then as a member, you get perks like,
mhm.
potential discounts and things like that. What else?
Sure.
And the access to a lobbyist,
Yes.
you speaking on behalf of the coalition. What else do people get
So
members?
we're going to be coming out with our newsletters. We also have a membership directory of everyone. We're going to have a place on our website where you can log in for your membership and interact with other people through a forum. You'll get to use our logo to say that you're an official member of the Texas Hemp Coalition. Most importantly, you get access to a network of the true pioneers in the industry that I would say. I mean, if you look at our executive board members and board members, they're quite impressive. And those are, our goal was to hit every aspect of the industry from seed to sell. So we truly feel
Yes.
like we have that. And, there's a lot more things that we're working through. We have a retreat planned for our board in a month. So it's going to be super
Wow.
exciting. Yeah, we're going to
Where?
at one of our board members' ranches outside of Austin. So
Awesome.
it'll be super awesome to get everyone together to
Cool.
think big picture of what we want this organization to look like, because we know this industry is going to continue to grow. And I think this could be like the next Texas Southwestern cattle raisers. That's what I keep saying. I mean, they've got so many employees. I want this to be massive. And I want to take
Yes.
interns and hire people and make this bigger
Yes.
than just me. So I think it's coming. And I think that hope people see that we're in it for the long haul, because it was tough there in the beginning. There's a lot of different organizations, but you've seen that really, really dwindle, and we're still standing, and we're going to be here until the end.
Definitely, and getting stronger. And if I may say, you have some farmers there, some who are leading the charge in craft
Yes.
cannabis in Texas, some winners of the Taste of Texas Hemp
Yes.
Cup. I
We
mean,
did.
how many farmers are on your board?
We've got Aaron Owens of Tejas Hemp. He won Best Outdoor Hemp in Texas, which I helped hand trim that flower.
Oh my God. Wow, dude,
That
that's
was
the
my first
massive.
hand trim job. He was like, "It'll be
You heard
worth
it
it
here.
if we
You
win."
heard
I
it
was like,
here first.
"Yeah,
Ilissa
exactly,
Nolan's first hand trim job. So you
exactly."
got Aaron Owens, and then I know
Yes,
Eddie Velez. He's
yes.
most
We have
right.
Eddie Velez of Oak Cliff Cultivators. We have
Yes.
Scott and
Jake
Dwayne.
Gary.
Oh, Jake Gary of Fresh Grown Texas and Drops of Life. He won 2 awards. So that's 1, 2. Eddie is 3. Aaron is 4. And then we have Scott and Dwayne of uh, Texas Premium Hemp,
Most pungent. Oh my
most
God.
pungent. So I think
Five.
that's
5 out of
5.
9.
They were our first actual members after we opened up
Wow.
membership from our board members. So everyone else is an
Wow.
executive board member or board member. And it was just super exciting to see all that happen, because it's like, man, y'all are really doing things. Like, I saw something in them. I just didn't know what it was. And so
Right.
those guys, I think that they're going to continue to kill the game. They all work
Yes.
together. And that's what's really cool. They're
Yes.
all friends. They all work
Hmm.
together. They share their secrets, which is different from any other industry. I would always be like, don't tell anybody's stuff, because like, hold it tight. Don't say that.
Well, trade
But
secrets, trade
yeah,
secrets. But this is like, we're talking about Mother Earth here. We're talking about
definitely.
abundance and farming and Texans just being Texans. There's more than enough business to go around. This is a plant that we all need. Okay. This is a plant we all need, and Texas is going to grow the best.
I
Oh,
agree. It's
right.
crazy. So I don't want to leave out. We've got other farmers as well that competed. People like VJ
Mhm.
Farms,
Yes.
who I love Ross at VJ, and I know he's on Big Texas Hemp as well. So we've
Yes.
got a lot of good players, and we're hoping that more farmers join us, because I think that we'll have a lot to offer. And the networking aspect of it is just massive, because there's so many people who have met through the organization that have continued to work together. For example, Tejas, they grew their first grow, and they got their grow processed by Bayou City Hemp, and they wouldn't have met if it wasn't through the Texas Hemp Coalition. And that's the purpose of all this.
Mm-hmm, hmm. Absolutely. It's business. It's people doing business together. We've got, farmers that we were kind enough to kind of let us into their lives during, their first harvest for Big Texas Hemp. And we just talked about some of those farmers. But then also Agrarian Supply, is one of your board members as well. They are on Big Texas Hemp as well. And
Yeah.
what role, it's a docu-reality series, and the role that they play is, they're the experts in farming hemp, both indoor and out. And it's Texas Hemp Coalition is how we connected with them.
Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up. Agrarian Supply, Kyle and Scott with them,
Yes.
they're excellent and amazing. And something that a lot of people don't know is we're an affiliate of a lot of national organizations like US Hemp Roundtable, Hemp Industries Association, and the National Hemp
Yes.
Association. But there's also this thing called the US Hemp Authority. And so they gave us a call maybe a year and a half ago looking for a Texas farmer to be represented on the board. So I was like, okay,
Mhm.
well, here are the people at the time that I thought would be the best. But then I thought, you know what? Agrarian Supply would be a really good seat on that board because they're the true experts. I mean, they are consulting for
They are.
thousands of acres across the nation. And so
Yeah.
Kyle Truesdell of Agrarian Supply now
Yes.
has the farming seat on the U.S. Hemp Authority,
Mhm.
literally making policy changes at the federal level. And it's just really cool to see that we were able to connect
It's mind
that. You
blowing.
know, it's
Yes.
crazy. They're wonderful, and I hope that more people will utilize their services in Texas because they're big
Yes.
in the CBD side, but they're going to be an even more force to be reckoned with on the industrial fiber side.
Ooh, I love hearing that, and thank you for saying that.
Yeah,
Definitely more people will know who they are in Texas when they see Big Texas Hemp.
I
So,
hope so. They're
uh,
great.
yeah, definitely. Well, seriously, my sister, thank you for joining me. We
Oh,
can do
thank
this
you.
all day long, every day. Let's do it again.
Yeah,
And I'm going to record an intro that introduces who you are, and I'll let you know and send you the link to all the elements and stuff. And I'm just really grateful that you're doing what you're doing, truly.
I
So
appreciate that. It means a lot coming from y'all because I know that you guys are out there doing very similar things and some of the same stuff. And I just appreciate being recognized for it. And to have the respect from other people in the industry means the world. So thank you. It keeps me motivated and it keeps me knowing that I'm doing something that's right.
absolutely, sister. All right. Well, we'll talk soon. Okay.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye.